Okay, Eric, I see that you want to talk a little bit about load-based failover for VCS. Boy, that sounds like a lot. What the heck is load-based failover? How does it work?
Sure, Bob. It's actually pretty simple. The more you start looking at VCS as not so much just a simple high availability cluster solution and actually more as an event-driven automation tool, the more you're looking at larger clusters beyond 2 nodes. And for 2-node clusters, very simple in their implementation, it's fine to have things like just an ordered list of servers saying what servers an application can run on. The minute you go more beyond 2 nodes in a cluster, you have to have a way of making more intelligent failover target selections. So in VCS 2.0, we introduced the concept of service group workload management, in which you assigned a load value to each application in the cluster, and then a capacity value to each server in the cluster. And those were static values that did not necessarily reflect what was going on at any given point in time. But they were a good basis for making some more informed failover target selections. In the 6.1 version of VCS, we implemented this concept called adaptive HA, and with adaptive HA, we have a new failover policy called biggest available. What that does, it allows VCS to take a constant look at each one of the servers in the cluster and make informed failover target selections in advance based on real information of what's going on in the cluster at any given point in time. So for example, in this scenario where I've got a 4-node cluster, sys1 through sys4, running 5 applications, I can have a good look at all the nodes in the cluster and have a good knowledge of what's going on in each one of those systems. So VCS looks at it and constantly refreshes, for example, CPU and memory in this case, what's going on there in terms of how much resources is being consumed on each one of the servers. So looking at this, you can see that sys1 and sys2 are pretty heavily loaded, where sys3 and sys4 are pretty relatively lightly loaded. And what I can do is, if I were to lose a server, say for example, sys4 were to crash on me, at this point VCS can make a quick decision. It already knows in advance that sys3 is the best failover target, so it's going to say, all right, don't even try to bring it up online on sys1 or sys2, use sys3 because it is currently the least loaded system in the cluster. So
it would end up actually at this point coming over here to sys3, the CPU and memory utilization would go up.
It would, by necessity, it would go up.
And it would still try and figure out where to fail over if it had another failover that it had to do. Is that right?
Exactly. So it's constantly refreshing those load values, so it always knows how much resources are being consumed on each one of the servers in the cluster. So if it were to suffer another failure, then yes, VCS would end up being forced to select one of these other servers.
Okay, fantastic. So this explains very easily what the new feature is that allows us to fail over an application based on the ability of the server to be able to handle it, right?
Correct.
Fantastic. Thanks, Eric.
All right. Thanks.